This is Lorena Salierna Gomez, and um, esta es Lorena Salierna Gomez, along with IPU. A lo largo del IPU, que es um, International Pentecost University, que es de la Universidad Internacional del Pentecost. Y le habíamos dicho anteriormente, y we had already said priorly that we are just offering que solamente ofrecemos tutorials and lectures on medical discipline, que le estamos ofreciendo las tutoriales y las lecturas de la ciencia de la disciplina médica. Um, it's been already almost 10 years. Van a ser ya casi 10 años since we started the tutorial, desde que comenzamos el tutorial. Probably we were interested in growing a little bit bigger. Probablemente tuvimos interés de crecer un poco más grande. But due to COVID and some other circumstances, we have been keeping it just with the baby steps. Y como pasó el COVID, la pandemia y algunas otras circunstancias, decidimos reducirlo, dejarlo a todavía pasitos de bebé, ¿verdad? But still, we're still working. Todavía estamos trabajando. Estas Christmas, having for us, han sido para nosotros a really a good season, muy buena estación del año. Because we have plenty stories, porque tenemos muchas historias to talk about, de hablar, para hablar. Because that's the way, es porque esa es una forma to bring minds together, de traer mentes juntas. And before we start with the story, antes de que comencemos con la historia, wanted to appreciate, le queremos apreciar all your time, todo su tiempo, all your consideration, toda su consideración, your patience, su paciencia, to all our interest, a todo nuestro interés, to nurture, de nutrir, the community's curiosity, la curiosidad de la comunidad. And this Christmas we have this story of these medical students. Y esta Navidad tenemos la historia de estos estudiantes. They had already finished. Estos terminaban el semestre en Christmas, en Navidad. And few of them, algunos de ellos, were trapped in the airport, eran atrapados en el aeropuerto as they were purchasing their tickets, como ellos fueron a comprar sus tickets, sus boletos to go back home, para ir de regreso a casa. And where these students, donde este estudiante who lived in the town, que vivía en esa ciudad, were in their company, iba de compañía. All these students, todos esos estudiantes were sons of doctors. Ellos eran hijos de doctores. And most of them, all of them, casi todos, probablemente todos, they share the same interest. Ellos compartían el mismo interés to have, de tener the same point of view, de tener el mismo punto de vista as they were caring for their patients, como ellos cuidaban a sus pacientes. It was a little bit different, era un poquito diferente from the people who were just starting era un poquito más diferente de los muchachos que comenzaban from zero, desde cero, because they had to start and learn, porque ellos tenían que comenzar y aprender their clinics and their routines and their laboratories and right. Ellos tenían que aprender sus rutinas, sus laboratorios, sus clínicas. When these sons and daughters of doctors, they had already done it, porque ellos ya lo habían hecho, they had practiced everything. Ellos habían practicado todo in their clinics, parents' clinics, in hospitals and offices. Ellos practicaban casi todo junto con ellos en las clínicas, los hospitales y en los consultorios. And where one of them, en donde uno, he was very interested, tenía mucho interés into have a group, en tener un grupo to keep in touch, para siempre estar en contacto and have teamwork y hacer un equipo de trabajo. And he said that it was never the best opportunity, que nunca hubo una mejor oportunidad to share all his videos, de poder compartir sus videos since he was a child, desde que era un niño. Because he believed, porque él pensaba que all these little things, que todas estas pequeñas cosas can make friends forever, podrían hacer amigos para siempre. Y mandaron help was sent to bring them back where this gentleman was living in town. Y fue ayuda de rescate a traerlos de ahí de donde estaban en el aeropuerto a casa de este muchacho que los invitó. And they had their luggages still at college. Y ellos todavía tenían su equipaje en el colegio, right? But the college had to be closed, right? Y el colegio tenía que cerrarse. They were in the school dorms. Ellos vivían en los dormitorios de la escuela. And he asked them to come to stay at his home, y les invitó a que vinieran a su casa if by the time the Christmas was not ready for them to go back home, they could share to stay with them, right? Y que para el tiempo en que la tormenta no se desaparecía, ellos podían quedarse por las Christmas. And it happened that way. Y así pasó. He started showing all the videos, y él comenzó a enseñar todos los videos, and he asked each one of them not to ask questions, right? Because it was just memories of the past. Y les pidió que no hicieran preguntas porque eran solamente memorias del pasado. And that way he started with a video when in Christmas they were curious about asking them whatever happened to Adam, right? Why if we belong to all these ancestors, ¿verdad? ¿Qué le había pasado a Adán? Si nosotros somos parte de toda esta ancestría, what would happen to us? ¿Qué nos pasaría a nosotros if eventually, si eventualmente it's found out, es encontrado that Adam was guilty, encontrado de que tenía la culpa of this disobedience, de esta desobediencia en el Edén. And one of the children from these doctors, probably brothers or sisters from this gentleman who was hosting all the students while the storm was away, ¿verdad? Y probablemente esas preguntas la hicieron uno de los hermanitos de este doctor que les daba, que los había invitado para estar en su casa mientras pasaba la tormenta. because it was hard to believe. The child continued that being the Lord so good, era difícil de pensar que siendo Dios tan bueno, how come this gentleman who loved him so much, cómo era posible que este caballero, ¿verdad? Él decía que era un caballero, ¿verdad? But eventually it was corrected by saying, and it was the image of God, y después lo corrigieron, le dijeron que era la imagen de Dios, and they eventually asked so many questions in that regards. Y después se pusieron a preguntar otras cosas al respecto de que era la imagen de Dios. Because the child continued, right? If the Lord was so good, right? Si el Dios era bueno, and this baby, right? Or this creation, it was there, and the Lord was the only thing, and the Lord was the most greatest love ever for him. How could this Adam probably disobey the Lord, right? Porque si Dios era el más grande amor de Adán, pudo haberlo desobedecido. And I don't think this can happen just like that. Y decía el niño que él no piensa que esas cosas pudieron haber pasado así nada más porque sí. What could have happened to all of us? ¿Qué nos podría haber pasado a todos nosotros with all these things that happened in the past? ¿Qué nos podría pasar a nosotros con todas estas cosas que pasaron en el pasado? And their parents, right, saw that in fact when you really are grateful with your parents, you really love and want to do the best you can to honor them, right? Realmente los padres de este niño pensaban que el niño tenía razón, que estas cosas no pueden pasar nada más así, ¿verdad? Entonces, que si un niño quiere a sus padres, siempre el niño está agradecido y hace lo mejor por darle su honor, ¿verdad? And so these parents sit down and explain to them, right? Y los padres de este niño, junto con los otros niños, se sentaron a explicarle de once upon a time, que una vez había in a far away, a lo lejos, one good land, una buena tierra, where this image of God, oh beautiful being, que es que era un ser bello, ¿verdad? La imagen de Dios, it was being able to see from far away, se podía mirar de muy lejos, which means that if this image of God was created a little bit than angels, que si esta creación era creada un poquito menos que los ángeles, obviously it was huge, o probablemente, obviamente era muy alto, ¿verdad? And that all the people who was able to see, toda la gente que eran capaces de ver, there were people looking for a better ways of living, looking for the land of opportunity to last a little bit more all the resources they had in their land. Que ellos querían encontrar una manera de poder hacer que duraran más los recursos que ellos tenían, because they belong to a land and culture, porque ellos vivían o pertenecían a una cultura de una tierra where they were born, de donde nacían, but they knew that they would eventually die, pero saben que eventualmente iban a morir, and that the people who lived a little bit longer, de la gente que vivía un poquito más, they were able to perform and do great things with all the tools and all the details and all the time required, and all the things they did were very good, y que todas las cosas que ellos hacían, hacían con el tiempo apropiado, los aparatos, los equipos apropiados, eh, la herramienta apropiada, y con todos los detalles requeridos, versus the ones who live just a little bit, comparado con los que vivían poquito tiempo. The same demands were, las mismas demandas they had in regards to performing activities, en poder hacer actividades en projects y proyectos. And eventually the people who live longer, la gente que vivía un poquito más from these two groups, de estos dos grupos, were able to select the best things they had and to create the science. Ellos decían que seleccionaban lo mejor y de esa manera desarrollaban su ciencia. And the ones who really didn't perform well, y los que no hacían sus cosas buenas, but they always did wrong, siempre hacían las cosas mal. And these people were really interested into preserve the systems and organs from their cultures, from their best beings, right? Y estos señores, con esta ciencia de esta cultura, querían preservar los sistemas de los mejores seres que hayan tenido, for them to be able to just implant them in some sort of beings with resources of energy, y para poder implantarlos en seres que tuviesen energía, so they were able to assemble in their bodies, and they were using the beings, y ellos estaban usando los seres as incubators, los usaban como incubadores in order to develop, in order to, para desarrollar, and to bring up, y para traer the life and the memories, la vida y las memorias from all these beings they were interested, que ellos tenían interés to preserve, for their good of their cultures, para el beneficio de sus culturas. As they were advancing, como ellos vieron que avanzaban, they found out the food it was different, que la comida era diferente, the people were different, la gente era diferente, beings were different, right? And as they reached the Eden, como ellos llegaron al Edén, they found out they had to transform in different things around in order to see that they were not detected, right? Para ellos sabían que se tenían que transformar en varias cosas para no ser detectados. And therefore they practiced and they brought the power of recombination organisms. They had also the genetic replicator, and they also have a brain to make all these combinations done in order to open a path to be successful through in order to find out and how this being so huge, which they never moved, they never go any, they were not going anywhere, and they were all the time without sleeping, right? And they were saying that they were going to a best land to find people who never sleep, who never eat, who were never tired, and because they were saying that the decades behind decades and decades and so many years have passed by, y que pasaron muchos años, décadas y décadas y décadas, and the man, I mean the being was there, going nowhere, right? When in their land everybody was dying in probably in a week, right? And so these people were saying that la gente de su tierra, de su cultura, se morían hasta en una semana. Cuando ese ser que estaba vivía mucho. So they were curious about it. They were looking for to reach out for this land, right? And they were leaving toxic materials everywhere, and they were causing damage to the environment, right? and still they refuse to go back where they were and keep on moving, right? And when they found out that something it was going on in that land, cuando se encontraron que algo estaba pasando en esa, ¿verdad? And what it was happening around there is like it happened nowadays when we see these millions and millions and millions of dollars, costly high tower. Cuando nosotros vemos, ¿verdad? Que este millonario de millones y millones de un rascacielos is going to be done, right? Se va a construir, where you have all these helicopters and all these airplanes and all these um, probably some space shuttles and all these connections for all the species and to keep in contact with each one of them, and it's really the best, more efficient and beautiful, right? And when you see this este rascacielos que está construido para a donde aterrizan los helicópteros, los aviones, probablemente las cápsulas espaciales, ¿verdad? O los cohetes espaciales, eh, donde tiene conexiones para toda clase de especies y ¿verdad? Para así cuáles son las necesidades de todo esto, y al mismo tiempo es eficiente y funcional. And it's still um, these people were refusing to go back to their homes, and they were seeing all this passion, all this love, all this admiration for this being, right? Y ellos veían ¿verdad? Que la gente de alrededor de Adán, ¿verdad? It was all this was around Adam, right? Because everybody was so proud of him because he was the highest from all the created, and it was the beautiful, the gorgeous, era como una joya, ¿verdad? Una joya literaria, como probably um, one of the best wonders from all over, right? Uno de las maravillas del mundo, and everybody wants to take a picture right there, and you can wait to save your money to go, and because you want to go, right? Es una de estas cosas cuando es una de las mejores maravillas del mundo y la gente quiere ahorrar su dinero para ir y no puedes quedarte sin querer ir, ¿verdad? And this is what it was, Adam, in there. And it was, and eventually all these people, right, who were making this trip to save their cultures, their lands, and to make all the changes, um, they had eventually a spirit of competition, and they decided to grow one tower just right beside him, right? Y ellos desearon construir un rascacielo, ¿verdad? A un lado de Adam. And Adam was there, and there was some sort of telepathy, right? But it was done under their toxic wastes, and where they were visible and at the same time invisible, right? And they were leaving toxic materials, and they were causing worries in the life of Adam, right? And the thing is, since they knew all these sciences, they were taking advantage of the blind angle of the eye of this being, and also the dark spots on their normal day vision on the that exist, right? And they found out about it, and they advanced in order to build what they were looking for, right? And they were coming over trying to replicate, and with the power of replication, with a brain who left down in the ground in order to grow inside of probably the being, in order to have from whatever he had a powerful cells or something, in order to make something strong, right, for their cultures. Y que estos seres, ¿verdad? Querían probablemente por medio de toda esta vía telepática toxina, crear una serie de intervenciones dentro de su cuerpo para hacer réplicas de lo que él tenía por dentro, que lo hacía ¿verdad? Ser tan fuerte y tan alto, usando sus replicadores y su poder de recombinación con un cerebro que estaba en el piso, algo muy propio de ellos, ¿verdad? And Adam, since they were not evident, real, since nothing was present, right? Obviously, he wouldn't answer to anybody, right? His level of intelligence, right, just made him worry about it. Su nivel de inteligencia probablemente lo preocupó, pues as the ways they were created, de las maneras que fue creado, it was just able to speak, communicate with the ones who were just right in front of it, right? Era capaz de poder oír y comunicarse con las cosas que estaban enfrente de él. Y all these beings y todos estos seres, they advance, developing, making a genetic replica, right, from what they had, right. Y ellos crecieron a un lado haciendo una réplica, but it was not looking good. No se estaba mirando bien, since they were not interested in looking or going into the highest, and since they were not interested in hanging around anywhere, because they were just pieces of systems from different beings who these ones who were alive were holding in order to hang probably in some sort of being, in order to use the being as incubator in order to produce what they were looking for, right? But since Adam was not interested in nothing they were proposing, it was Adam was not really cooperating with them. Entonces dice que como Adán no les ponía atención porque pues no estaban presentes realmente. They knew it was hard to do something like that, right? And the time passed by when they, by exudation or probably skin replication, they were able to make cells, creating this toxic environment for him, right? Y entonces, por estar replicándole sus células externas, ¿verdad? Por diferentes métodos, creando un ambiente tóxico, right? Some of their blocks of some of the building blocks, algunos de sus bloques que construían sus paredes, right? Or cells from this being, right? O las células de este ser were falling down, se estaban cayendo, they were dying, estaban muriendo, because what they were interested, it was just to pass away, porque lo que querían hacer era just nomás descansar en paz, right? All these people were already dead, toda esa gente estaba ya muerta, and they were interested in creating a mass of reproduction, right? Ellos querían una más producción de seres to spread all over their tunnel, because they look more than tunnel than anything, right? Porque se veía más que un túnel que más que nada, right? But it was able to be bent all over because it was falling down and all the pieces were dying, and it looked like a snake, right? All the time. Y este edificio, ¿verdad? Se veía más bien como una víbora que se caía por todos lados, como los movimientos de las víboras. Eventually, Adam ended up to be looking like a mountain, right? Eventualmente Adán se vio como una montaña, and the Lord came by, y que Dios pasó por ahí and asked all the ones who were around where Adam was, right? Y que nobody was able to really answer because they were dying, right? Y que Adán se por fin, de tanto que le hicieron, lo convirtieron en una montaña, right? Que vino Dios y les preguntaba que dónde estaba Adán y nadie podía contestarle porque se estaban muriendo, ¿verdad? And eventually some of them said, it's just right in front of you, right? Y le digo, pues ahí está enfrente de usted, ¿verdad? And it was a mountain, right? Y era una montaña, and he finally found out that he wouldn't have anybody who could help him out in any ways, ¿verdad? Y que vio Dios que no había ahí ni quien pudiera ayudarle en ninguna manera. So all these people who were hanging around were not ideal company for him, right? Y que todas estas gentes que estaban ahí, pues no eran ninguna compañía ideal para él. And then some of them said, he died. Y le dijeron, pues Adán ya murió. Yes, some of them again said, yes, Adam has passed away. Y ya como estaban contestando, right, and as they were answering back to the Lord, as they were answering the questions of the Lord, ¿verdad? Como le estaban contestando sus preguntas, they were just dying and they were falling, right, dead, and they were just, becoming dust, and from dust, just a little bit of wind, just splash their nature, their bodies everywhere, and you were not able to find nothing related with those beings. Y que todos estos seres, ¿verdad? Como le contestaban al Señor, se estaban muriendo y se deshacían, ¿verdad? En polvo y salía un poquito de aire y los aventaba para cualquier lado y ya no se veía qué era. So the Lord found out that all these people were not really good to hang around, and it was so. Eventually, he took Adam, right? Y dice que vio que pues ni valía ya ni nada la pena de estar preguntando, pues están muriendo todos, ¿verdad? So he took Adam and put him in deep sleep, que tomó a Adán y lo puso en un sueño profundo, like we say. Took Adam and put into all these anesthetic stages, right? In order to avoid him to feel pain, para evitarle que él sintiera dolor, and he took one bone and made Eve, right? Y le tomó un hueso y le hizo a Eva because he found out that he didn't ever cooperate with them. He never gave explanations about the deals and benefits and privileges the Lord had given to Adam, to the I mean, he never talked about that with the other people, and the other people were trying to tell him to obtain and gain power, to be powerful with a lot of people around, and to go and eat their food because they never saw him eating. Probably they imagined that he didn't have food and that he didn't have any power, that he was just somebody there. And Adam, probably through lines of this toxic telepathy, were just not paying attention because he was not interested to eat anything related with any other kind of foods, right? Or he was not interested in bothering because he had already plenty of things to do. He was really on charge of that place, and he didn't really know what we're talking about, right? So which means that Adam never ate the fruit, which means that he never stopped from loving the Lord, which means that it was a Lord blessing to have known that, right? Quiere decir que Adán nunca comió nada prohibido, y quiere decir que nunca hizo nada malo, ¿verdad? Y que era una bendición muy grande saber que él era un ser obediente, and all the children were very happy, ¿verdad? When these doctors were talking to them in this way. Y los niños estaban muy contentos, ¿verdad? Con los papás, ¿verdad? Porque they said that it was very good to know that they were obedient. porque dijeron que era muy bueno saber que eran muy obedientes. And it happens that when Eve came into the life of Adam, right? Y vino Eva, ¿verdad? So for the Lord to give him a chance to Adam, el Dios, para darle la oportunidad a Adam to learn about whatever happened, para que tuviera la oportunidad de saber qué había pasado. And Eve was the one who were created, right, from Adam, or made from Adam. Eva fue hecha de Adán in these toxic times, right, en estos tiempos tóxicos, ways of telepathy, right, maneras de telepatía, ¿verdad? And he really found out whatever happened with this building, who was on besides the talking or looking for to talk to him, right? And these people who were building this tower, this being on the side, it was they were creating this um, genetic malformation, right? Because it didn't look good, it didn't look human, it didn't look nothing, and it was dying all the time, and it was falling down, and it was trying to straighten up, and they were trying to build, and really, in the stage of toxicity, right? And in the stage of this toxic telepathy, they were speeding up and probably falling asleep, right? And probably in those stages, these people were assembling all these genetic replicators with the power of sorting the best genes, right? Um, right, and with the brain of their own, right? And not really implanted on Adam because he refused to believe that all these things existed, right? And this Eve, she knew and she was able to see that they were converting themselves into a tree branches, right? And even placing some sort of the fruits, but they have like corpses hanging with different colors, right? They had their foods, right, with pieces of the food the Adam and Eve had in paradise, right? The Lord had come to them to tell them not to eat from their fruits because they will die, right? Dios les había dicho que no comieran de eso, ¿verdad? And in fact, they were not sharing their culture, they were not sharing their interest for their fruits because it was said that they had this dry, their beings meats, right? And probably microbes, some worms, some stuff they ate in order to provide to take energy from them para poder tener energías de él. But since the new generation came, y la nueva generación que tenían came in to the Eden, vino al Edén, so they were able to eat just a little bit of the food the Adam and Eve had, which means that they were carving part of, they were taking from the fruits part of it, and they were trying to fill up with some whatever they had in order to keep the fruits in shape, right? Y que ellos pensaban que lo más seguro era que ellos, los señores que venían del árbol de los vecinos, ¿verdad? Que buscaban mejores maneras de vida, buscaban la comida de poquita de la que tenían Adán y Eva, y rellenaban con las cosas que tenían por ahí para que se rellenara y agarrara forma el fruto. Which means that probably it was jumping to one branch and it was not a branch. It was their shape, their tunnel, right? And where the toxicity was really bad, right? Entonces esta saltaba, ¿verdad? Que al tronco del árbol supuesto y saltaba a la parte de lo que era la estructura que estaba creciendo, en donde, and where she was able to see they had fruits, donde ella podía ver que tenían frutas, and probably she mistakenly took some of them bread. Y probablemente por error ella fue y cortó unos when she found that probably it was not really the same thing. Probably she used all her day trying to look for the ones that they look right to her, right? Y que probablemente ella también se tardaría su día para ir a buscar las cosas que le parecían más apropiadas para comer, ¿verdad? Still, she believed that the tunnel who was there lied to her, right? Because she had to go and bring her food from her house and her garden, and those people are supposed to be there. Y decía que ella estaba en su casa y que iba por las frutas que están en su jardín y que esas personas no tenían por qué estar allí, ¿verdad? Entonces que esas que estaban ahí, they were not even there, because sometimes it looked like they were there and sometimes it looked like the fruits were there, but eventually they were not the ones they needed, right? Porque le mentían porque las ramas estaban ahí, pero se desaparecían. Y luego tenían frutos como los que ella andaba buscando y luego no eran. Entonces, que estaba mintiendo, eso que estaba ahí no existía, ¿verdad? Y que realmente ella lo único que decía es que el tunnel who was there lied to her, right? It was just teasing her, and it was something that she tolerated, right? Entonces, the Lord, what happened is that when the Lord came, he found out that they were already replicated beings around, and he was calling the name of both of them, right? Cuando el Señor volvió a pasar otra vez, llamó sus nombres y vio que estaban unos seres ahí, ya creados, right? La que salió fue Eva, right? Eva, she came out and she gave all the details and explanations, and she called up every single detail who was happening around there, and she is the one who really ordered all this sequence of events, y que fue Eva la que salió al encuentro de Dios y le dio toda clase de explicaciones con toda clase de lujo de detalles de todo lo que le estaba pasando, ¿verdad? And Adam was listening. Y Adán estaba oyendo. Entonces, everything was really out of his reach. Dice, realmente todo estaba fuera de su alcance. Eventually, this Adam and Eve were there, and the Lord asked them, who these people are. Y le preguntó, ¿y estos quiénes son? And Adam and Eve said, I don't know them. We don't know them. We don't know where they're coming from, right? And so for that reason, right, the Lord explained to them that they have already eaten from the fruits from the tree. He really asked them not to do it. And but then said, how did you do that, Adam? Y Adam le contestó, que por qué lo había hecho Adán, que por qué comieron del árbol que él no había, si se sienten así, todo esto ha pasado es porque ellos han comido del árbol que él dijo que no. And then Adam said, no, I have never eaten any fruit from any tree, but just the ones we have in this place. I don't go anywhere, I just hang around this place. Y Eva, probably Eve is the one who brings the fruits when we have to eat, and she's the one. If you say that we have already eaten those, is because she brings them over, right? She gave it to me. And then eventually Eve said, well, no, I go around, and since I was explaining to you all the stories, y le decía, bueno, pues como yo yo voy, ya le expliqué cómo se ven las cosas, ¿verdad? Yo voy, traigo los frutos, and I just believe that all these tunnels were lying to me, right? And they just misguide me from my path of getting what we're looking for, right? Y dijo que, bueno, estos trepar este árbol, estos branches que están y luego se desaparecen. Realmente a mí me han engañado porque yo voy a buscar las cosas que están en nuestro jardín, en nuestro lugar donde nosotros estamos, ¿verdad? Y le dijo, pues bueno, we're going to put order in this place. Adam, you're not going to replicate anything anymore. You're not going to be having nothing to do with any childbirth. And if you are going to have, you're going to have the child, but it's going to be from Adam, not from any tunnel, not from any replicator, from any kind, with any powers of recombination of any kind, with any brains of anywhere, right? And Adam, since he is very careful, he's gonna go and bring the food. And Eve, since she gets very ill, very toxic, and since all it looks like all these beings are looking for to tease her and to lie to her, right? And it's no good. She's gonna stay at home and she's gonna have but your babies, and that's because you had the opportunity um, to see what it was happening. Te decía que iban ellos a dejar a Adán de andar replicando cosas con su cuerpo. Y Eva ya no iba a andar aceptando ni la iban a andar llevando a ningún lado porque se iba a quedar ahí en la casa y ahora iba a ir a Adán a traer las cosas. Y que el tono fue y vio que era como una víbora, ¿verdad? Porque estaba mal formada. He looked really that it was that genetic shape, it was not looking good, but it was trying to get up all the way and as high as possible. But they were failing. Ellos querían hacer un tower, ¿verdad? Porque andaban chiflados, and they were very spoiled, and they were trying to show that they were able to make it. Ellos querían hacer una torre también. They forgot really about what they were looking for a while. Se olvidaron por un tiempo de lo que andaban buscando. And the Lord told this gentleman, you are not happy by hanging around this high. Ustedes no son felices por andar hasta las alturas. Your nature really is to pass out and to rest in peace, and that's where you need to go. Ustedes realmente son felices con bajar hasta la tierra y descansar en paz, and you have to go and do your thing because that's the nature, as a result of all your work, because you're practicing the science, porque ustedes, el trabajo que ustedes hacen es la ciencia que ustedes están practicando, and your science is the one that is killing you, and that's your own thing, as you do, and you have to go your way, right? Y se fueron. But some people say that they were cursed, but they were already killing each other and themselves with the science they were doing, right? Ellos estaban, algunas gentes dicen que estaban en la maldición de haberse ido arrastrando, pero pues they were already like that, and they were killing themselves because the science era la ciencia que ellos andaban haciendo, right? And so the Lord put order in that place, right? And that's the entire story. The problem with Adam, it was they tolerated. El problema con Adán es que él toleró, right? And that's how all this toxicities surround him. Él toleró toda esa toxicidad, lo rodeó, and all this stuff eventually caused him bad, right? Y por eso le causó mal en Eve. She was really, and whatever happened later is that they got addicted to all this toxicity and to all these runarounds and stuff like that. So eventually they were sent out from the Eden, fueron mandados fuera del Eden, because those people never stopped from bothering them. Porque esos señores que andaban ahí, que los había mandado a su camino, nunca los dejaron de molestar, and they created a lot of chaos, right? Enthalpies, right? Y comenzaron a crear entalpías and replicating all kinds of things y replicando cosas. So they were sent out for the better, right? Y los mandaron para afuera, ¿verdad? Para lo mejor, que pudo haberles pasado. And this was just part of the story because there are so many stories they had. Y esta es una buena historia, porque ellos tienen realmente muchas historias. And they spent the time until the airport was open. Y ahí se quedaron un tiempo hasta que el aeropuerto was abierto and everybody went home. Y cada quien se fue a su casa. They celebrated Christmas in the house of this gentleman. Y ellos celebraron las Christmas en la casa de este muchacho. And they really appreciate all these stories. Y ellos realmente apreciaron todas estas historias because the parents of this gentleman, los papás de este muchacho, which were doctors, que eran doctores, they were always very successful. Ellos tenían mucho éxito and they really had a good teamwork. Ellos tenían muy buen equipo. They always give an extra thought. Siempre le dieron un pensamiento extra to things that are not really making sense, para cosas que realmente no hacían sentido. And this is the story we have for you today. And this is the story of this family, which was very prosperous and they had a good team and their children were very smart and they always found a ways to feel honorable and to give honor to the Lord and to give honor to their families and to give the best they had in life. And they had good money also, right? So which means that to find always a good ways to explain things really makes people successful, right? And so let us just keep enjoying the Christmas, and this is a chant for Christmas, the nice story about, and we're gonna keep on talking later. Thank you for your attention. Vamos a hablar un poquito después y le agradezco mucho su atención. Good night.